Happy World Read Aloud Day! Miranda Paul here, author of 14, soon to be 15 books for children. I would like to share with you this video for my World Read Aloud Live, in which I read aloud some selections of different books, and then also I get to answer your questions. So here we go. I'm going to start by reading a book that looks very much like a book. It smells like a book. It feels like a book. But actually, this book is a game. Don't be fooled. Whose Hands Are These is a community helper guessing book. So I'm going to need your help today for World Read Aloud Day because I want you to try to call out the answers. Now, before we do that, I'm going to introduce you to the illustrator of the book, Luciana Navarro Powell. She made these fantastic illustrations, and the illustrations also give you clues so you can guess the right answers to the riddles. As we open up Whose Hands Are These, you're going to get a lot of pictures of tools and things that people use in their jobs or occupations. That should give you a clue that most of the answers are going to be jobs or community occupations. We're going to warm up with a rhyme, and the rhyme goes like this. Hands can wiggle, hands can clap, hands can rap and clap and tap, but hands can help. So raise yours, please. Can you guess whose hands are these? All right, what we're going to do is we're going to do that again, but you guys are going to put your hands in the air, and you're going to do what I do. Okay, so everybody put your hands up, and we're going to do that rhyme together. Hands can wiggle, hands can clap, hands can rap and flap and tap, but hands can help. So raise yours, please. Can you guess whose hands are these? Let's try that again, but a little bit faster. Hands can wiggle, hands can clap, hands can rap and flap and tap, but hands can help. So raise yours, please. Can you guess whose hands are these? Now let's try that one more time, but we're going to do it in super speed. Ready, everyone? Here we go. Hands can wiggle, hands can clap, hands can rap and flap and tap, but hands can help. So raise yours, please. Can you guess whose hands are these? Are we ready for a little read aloud game fun? All right. These are 4-line rhyming clues. I'm going to read it. You're going to look at the pictures and get clues, but you're also going to listen for rhymes because all of the answers rhyme with the word that I'm going to emphasize. Don't shout out the answer until I point to you because we want to make sure we have enough time for all of our friends to guess for today's read aloud. Hoe and sow, these hands are soiled. Sweep and reap, these hands have toiled. In the barn, these hands are charmers. These hands belong to many. Did you get it? Farmers! I bet a lot of you got it because you heard the rhyme with charmers. Now you'll see these farmers have harvested some tomatoes. In a community, what one person does affects the next person, and we're connected. So let's see if you can use that connection and figure out our next riddle. Choose, peruse, these hands are picky. Mix and mash, these hands are sticky. These hands flip through food-stained books. These hands belong to gifted. Did you get it? Cooks. That's right. Cooks is the right answer. And they took those tomatoes and they made pizza sauce. Now let's try one more here. Stop and go. These hands are waving. Catch that guy. He's misbehaving. These hands help us keep the peace. Hold yours up. It's the... I have a feeling you got that one too. Police. That's right. Now, would you like to try one that's a little bit harder? Let me see if you can get the next one. Quest and test. These hands are turning. Test again. These hands are learning. Weigh and count. Their work persists. These hands belong to scientists. I'm going to guess that you got it. Now, if you haven't read this book before or played this game before, there are actually a number of different riddles in here, and some of them are very hard. In fact, one of them is so hard that I stump about 90% of kids on the first time that they read it. So I encourage you to check out and finish playing the game, Whose Hands Are These? And then when you're done, you can look in the back matter for more information about how you could grow up to do some of these jobs. What kind of classes might you have to take, or what kind of skills you might have to have. This was a really fun book to write, and I love reading it aloud, especially for World Read Aloud Day. So I hope you enjoyed it as well. Now, many students have been asking for a super sneak preview of a book that's not out yet. So I also wanted to give you a read aloud preview of a book called Speak Up. And Speak Up is going to come out soon, in just a few months, so you can order it now if you want to, librarians. But you can see here that I've just kind of got it clipped. It's just a bunch of printed pages because it's not a final book yet. So you guys are some of the first people to get to see a sneak preview of this book, Speak Up. Speak Up is written by me, Miranda Paul, and it's illustrated by Ebony Glenn. And Ebony did a great job making the illustrations very vibrant and colorful, because for many kids, speaking up can be a little bit scary. When I was younger, I had a pretty quiet voice. I was sometimes scared to talk to grown-ups or in front of a big crowd. The first time I was supposed to be in a talent show, I ran in another room and I didn't perform. So I partially wrote this book for all the kids who feel like maybe their voice doesn't matter, or their voice is small, or they're afraid. But I also wrote it to celebrate my son, who spoke up on a very important day. One day, a kid brought a weapon to school and put it in their locker, and they were possibly going to hurt people with it. And my son faced the choice of either telling on his friend or possibly people getting hurt, and he chose to speak up and tell a grown-up, and the weapon was found and everyone was kept safe. And so speaking up is very important, and that's one of the scenes in this book that you'll see, which I'll read to you in just a moment. Speak Up here, which I've got this what's called a proof copy, something that we do before a book goes to print. I will read you some of the opening pages, and then I will also read you the very special page inspired by my son. There are times we should be quiet. There are days for letting go. But when matters seem important, speak up. Let others know. With so many ways to speak up, like a sign, a smile, a shout, if we could make things better, why not let our words come out? When you're being introduced and they get your name all wrong, speak up, say your name. You are you, and you belong. Has that ever happened? Has anyone ever mispronounced your name? Sometimes do you feel shy to correct people? It's okay. It is not rude to correct someone. Now, I want to show you the very special page in here that was inspired by my son. And it says this: when you know a scary secret about someone getting hurt, speak up, tell a grown-up. Courage sometimes means you blurt. And that's exactly what happened to my son. He had to blurt on his friend, but he's very glad that he did, and we're all very glad that he did. In the back of this, you'll also see a little note about me and my voice as a kid, but you'll also learn about kids all around the world who spoke up and made things better in their community or even in their whole country. And there are also some ideas. Teachers here, you might be very interested in the guide of when should you speak up. It's a guide to help your students know when something is tattling and they should just let it go, and then when something is important and they need to speak up and say something. There's a guide there. And then there's also a guide for shy kids who might still be finding your voice. These are all different ways that you can speak up without having to say a single word. So that's my new book, Speak Up. Again, it comes out very soon. And I'm very excited to share it with you because it's such a personal story to me, and many of the stories were inspired by my day's teaching or the kids that I meet and the kids that I know. Thank you so much for joining me for World Read Aloud Day, but it wouldn't be World Read Aloud Day unless I do two things. One, I recommend other people's books, and two, I also answer some of your questions. So let me recommend a couple of books. For those of you in middle school, or in the middle grades, maybe 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, I recommend the book Front Desk by Kelly Yang. My son is a 5th grader, and he very much enjoyed reading this book, Front Desk by Kelly Yang. I think this book, which is coming out this year, is also very interesting. So if you can get your hands on this book, for any age, it seems kind of big, but there's a bunch of different poems in here, so you could use it for any age. Dictionary for a Better World, Poems, Quotes, and Anecdotes from A to C by Irene Latham and Charles Waters, illustrated by Miranda Paul. So these are some of the books that I think you could look at. I also love picture books. Giant Squid by Candace Fleming and Eric Roman. This one has a great big gatefold that you can pull out. I love books that are very visual like this, Giant Squid. And also, I have a friend, his name is Vern Kowski, and he's an author illustrator. And sometimes Vern is a little bit shy to visit schools or do events, and so I thought that I would give him a shout out because he hasn't maybe found his school visit voice yet. And so he might not get to reach students as much as someone like me. So I'm recommending Harold Loves His Woolly Hat by Vern Kowski because the illustrations are absolutely adorable, but also because it has a surprise ending. I didn't see it coming. So if you like books where you're not exactly sure where it's going to go, Harold Loves His Woolly Hat is one of those kinds of books. Thank you for sticking with me through my World Read Aloud. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a second video and I'm going to answer questions from kids all over the world. So take a look at my YouTube page or on my social media and website for when I post the second video, which will be coming soon. I've got questions from kids all the way from England to Nigeria to Bahamas to places in the United States such as Florida, Maryland, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Texas, New Jersey, Wisconsin, Illinois, and more. So, thank you so much. Have a great World Read Aloud Day. And teachers, don't forget there are always resources on my website, mirandapaul.com/for-teachers. If you go to mirandapaul.com, you can find activities, worksheets, lesson plans, videos, and all kinds of supplemental material, including vocabulary quizzes and games. So that all go with my book. So thank you very much, and I hope you guys had a great World Read Aloud Day. I look forward to seeing some of you in my travels this spring and this fall because I'll be visiting many of your schools in person. Have a wonderful day. Happy reading and watch for the second video with Q&A very soon.